when people speak about apps is that it's the flashy thing at the front. It's the thing they see on their device. A big misconception is that it's just the app. When in it, normally there's a big web system in the back end and a whole bunch of stuff running on servers that make this work.
Mm-hmm. But we've had people that have worked on products for 3 years.
Yeah.
And it just needs one more thing. 7 figures have been spent before it's ended up in anyone's hand, and it's just a really expensive way to prove and validate a concept.
We, given the chance, and we often do, we'll take designs out to potential users and test with the designs even early on to make sure that they want to use it and that it's using well. And the same for dev is that once there's a release candidate, once you've identified that thing, get it out there, get it being used, gather feedback. But there is a big blocker. I think it's human nature. I want to hold on to it for a bit longer and add a few more things. But yeah, it's rarely proves to be worthwhile.
Welcome to the inaugural Sonin Podcast. As obviously we're going for, from a name point of view, build the right product.
We're not using still not using build the right product.
So we are Sonin, and we are very focused on building the right product. So from that point of view, that's about the product that fulfills the business objectives and also the user needs, that produces something fantastic that's really valuable to all the stakeholders involved. And we use this catchphrase, build the right product, which is obviously where the catchphrase for this has come from. In terms of why now, we have had lots of conversations around the fact that a lot of the time when we meet with clients, we share information with them. That is stuff that you kind of only get in those meetings. So we thought we would use this opportunity to have some of the similar conversations and then share them outward as well. I guess in terms of expectations for what people can expect from the series, we're going to run through a whole bunch of different things that may be specific to agency product relationships. So we'll talk about things like good agency relationships. We'll talk about some of the specifics around how we do what we do. Probably talk about some product strategy theory and things like that. But today is kind of starting from the start, right? So talking about first client conversations. Now I've attended enough meetings with you over the years to know how much you love me introducing you.
You rarely do.
Very rarely. But we like to go around the room at the start of meetings and do quick intros to everybody, and then I will do your intro, and then when it gets to you, you just sit there silently. So in a break from tradition, over to you. Introduce yourself.
I thought you were going to intro me. Well, I'm Tim. I'm the account director at Sonin, as well you know. And I've been working with you now and Sonin for 14 years, I think. Working with our clients as the people here that do the hard work, which suggests I don't do a lot, but I work with our clients on their business needs, what they're trying to achieve and stuff like that. And then I leave the hard work to everyone else.
Nice. 14 years. What was the phone that was out at the time? Can you remember that?
Well, I remember the phone you gave me as a work phone when I joined.
It's a great phone. I remember that phone.
HTC Mozart?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Windows phone,
because you were pretty sure that Windows was going to be the big platform.
Yeah, every year on Facebook Memories. That comes back round again to haunt me with my note saying this is the future of...
Yeah, I'm not sure you backed the right horse there.
No, I found that phone the other day, interestingly. So we said we would start from the start. So let's do that.
Yeah.
So normally the very first conversation kind of comes your way, right? So
yeah,
you are the point of contact a lot of the time when people are ringing for that first inquiry. So do you want to kick off by talking me through that? Tell me what's that first piece look like? What do people say? What do people ask for?
It varies quite a lot because we work with everyone, as you know. I'm telling you what you know, but everyone from startups to multinationals, and so the requirements are quite different. Normally well-funded startups to multinationals we work with. So sometimes we'll get people that have just got an idea, have got an idea for an app and I want to build it. I think it's the future. Sometimes it's businesses that have already done a bunch of work internally and they come with a feature set and here's the thing we want to build. Sometimes I think our preferred approach is we've got a problem with the business, with efficiency or with client comms or whatever it may be. We think tech's a solution. Can you help? That's probably our favorite one because we get to we get to help more.
I have an idea for an app straight up off the bat is an intriguing one out of the time, right? This is a bit akin to when our marketing team accidentally left the pay-per-click adverts running on and on.
Yes.
And come Friday night at about 11:30 as the pub's kicked out.
We had the best contact forms. I think we should turn them back on just for the enjoyment.
It's amazing how many different things that you can combine with Tinder, Uber, and Facebook all at once. If Just Eat was around, it would have been the complete set, wouldn't it? But the idea is not the most important part, right?
No, I mean, that's the thing we get a lot is kind of, I don't want to tell you the idea, how much would it be to build it? It's all about the implementation. If we've learned, nothing, it's about how you go about it, how you figure out what you should build, and then how you do it. The actual idea, they come pretty easy.
Yeah. If the idea is great, but it's not solely about the idea, then where do we go? Where does it start from there?
Again, it depends on our type of client that approaches us, but it's always about building trust at the beginning. I mean, we're lucky where we are now. I guess we've been doing this for so long. First app we built, as a story you love to tell, was pre-iPhone. I understood you were building apps on the Nokia phone.
I love the fact that you're now saying it as if this isn't a story that makes you grimace because you've heard it so many times.
What that means for us though now is that we've got a history of building great products. So the trust bit gets built quite quickly because we show what we've done, how we do it, and stuff like that. And then it's about building chemistry, I think, at those kind of early stages with clients, because you've got to work with people for potentially a long time. You have to get on with them. So that's all those initial things those conversations happen. But our process is about moving people into discovery, which I think we'll probably get into it a bit, but kind of understanding more about what they're trying to build. So maybe that makes us a bit different. In those early conversations, we definitely aren't throwing around feature ideas. It's just about building trust, building the relationship, and then moving into the part of our process probably.
Yeah. So, I mean, the discoveries obviously falls into this area that we love, right? Having been around for so long, as you quite rightly point out. And it's not just about the idea, it's about making sure that everything else lines up and that you've got the full picture. So with that in mind, do you want to give me a bit of an overview? Tell me a little bit about how you lead into discovery and a little bit about that and why it's important.
Yeah, well, I think the discovery part is probably one of the most important parts of everything we do, which is weird because if you look back, not many people were doing it, I don't think, when we early on in Sonin, and now I can't imagine how you create great products without it. So for us, discovery is about understanding the business. So we do everything we can to deep dive into the business, understand what their objectives are, what they're trying to achieve, all of that kind of stuff, and then understand user, what their needs are, what they actually want to use. It'd be pretty easy to just start calling out cool ideas. Like, let's do this, let's build that, go and build it and put it out. But it's quite an expensive way to figure out what's going to work. A much more cost-effective way is to validate those ideas against people, ask them if they're going to use the damn thing, and then if they are, go and build it.
Yeah, because I guess in many ways, because in the industry there's like 1,000 different definitions of what discovery means, right?
That's true.
I think that there's, we know some people that for discovery is what we would consider the design phase, so going through UX and UI and stuff. But when we look at it, I guess it's a little bit more consultative, right? This is really a consultation exercise around validation, as much as anything, right? And then an alignment and everything else inside there as well. Talk to me a little bit about the start of the process from what that looks like and the alignment and everything else in there.
So our discovery broadly is broken up into a couple of parts. So understanding the business, for us that's kind of workshops. So we'll get the business into a room together, get the stakeholders of people that have a say at the end what good looks like, want to speak to them early so they can tell us, and we'll run a bunch of exercises that our great product people do to try and uncover those things, because often they're not necessarily on the surface. Ask a bunch of people what their objectives are, they might tell you something, quite often not the actual objectives, and a few exercises and we get down to the bottom of it. aligning everyone. Massive, right? So we get, let's say there's 5 directors that are stakeholders in the projects we're building. They all come with slightly different objectives usually, and whoever the lead stakeholder, the one speaking to the most, they will be telling us what it is that we should build. And if we run away and build that thing, then we definitely please them, but the wider business potentially not. So yeah, we get them all together, understand what their objectives are, and then align them so they all agree that that is what we're aiming at. That's what we're going to fit with whatever it is we're going to build. So that's a big part of our discovery. And then the other half is the user. So you take that knowledge from the business out to the users and say, here's what we're thinking. Are you going to use the thing? Even if it's an enterprise and an internal tool, you need that buy-in, and you need people to say, yeah, I'll use that.
This is an opportunity for the whole enterprise mobility IBM piece, right? Around the fact that back in the day, when you started, and everything was black and white in mainframes.
Good.
You go into the office. I mean, I remember it. I remember working at a well-known American insurer, and you'd go in, and your machine was there. You sit down at your desk, and you do your work on it, and the software's preloaded, and you're only ever doing that thing, and nothing else, right? So at that point, then the UX and everything else was really just about how you could get through that process quicker, but nothing more. Whereas now, obviously, the bar, what experience needs to look like, is set by your consumer grade stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And if what you're building is clunky and hard to use and horrible, then you go straight back to WhatsApp and Dropbox and whatever else, right?
Yeah, I always use that example. If one of our clients is looking to build a messaging feature, if that messaging feature isn't better than WhatsApp, your users will use WhatsApp.
Yeah, every time. And it's funny, isn't it, when you suddenly find people reporting issues with messaging apps through WhatsApp. You see it, something's not quite right here. That's gone awry. So discovery is really, it's validation. It's making sure you're building the right thing, the right product. It's about trying to make sure before you start cutting code that you've got all of the internal stuff lined up. Teams are all there together. They all know what success is going to look like. They're all happy. You understand the user and everything else. And to use producer Greg's catchphrase, it's how we turn ideas into outcomes, right?
I'm not using catchphrases. I refuse.
Tell me why you wouldn't just, when somebody comes up and asks you, says to you, this is the thing that we want, we've spoken to our team, why wouldn't you just go and build that?
Well, to put it in the most blunt terms, it's rarely right. Now, our clients pay us, and so if people insist, then we will build exactly what they want. But most people come to us because they want and a phrase I use all the time that you probably don't like either. They want a trusted advisor.
I'm going to buy you that t-shirt.
Yeah. I think that's what they come to us for. There's loads of order takers out there at, cheap options and things like that. I've got these 3 features and then go away and build them. But why people come to us is because we've got the experience and knowledge, and we'll work with them to uncover what the right thing is. Yeah. And so, like I say, rarely is it correct. It's amazing. We've ended up building products that have nothing to do with the product that we were asked to build in the first place. Through that discovery, someone comes to us and says, we want to build a thing. We work with business to understand what the objectives are. We go and speak to the users, and we find out it's not that thing. Actually, all the problems are over here.
That's a consequence of...
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's why that trust bit is so important at the beginning, because you have to trust us that we're going to kind of go and figure out that. And for the most part, I think people do.
Yeah. There's an interesting sliding scale, isn't there? Because there's that kind of... it's not that. That's a consequence of that. But then there are smaller levels on the web by... people in head office maybe aren't exactly in line with what it's like. If you've got a remote workforce or team members across all of Western Europe or whatever else, then it's quite easy for there to be a bit of a disconnect there. And we've seen that. You've got a story around that one for that worked with a enterprise app, right?
Yeah, well, we got loads of stories. So that understanding, we can't be a trusted advisor if we don't have the understanding of the business, right? Like, can't offer advice if we don't really get into the weeds of things. And so we do. So our product guys will often go out and do ride-alongs, go and experience what, for those enterprise apps, what people on the ground are doing and how they're doing it and how this would fit into it. More often than not, it contradicts whatever the business has said in some form. So the example that you mentioned is, so it's for drivers for a big company across Europe, and they wanted to build an app for their drivers that deliver and pick up things. I won't go into too much detail of exactly who they are. But head office, we did the discovery workshops, and head office, just the smallest of detail, they were saying a lot of the app was about recording the amount of items they pick up, the weight. And they were saying we work in kilograms. So everything in the app has to be in kilograms. Everything, all the reporting software we're going to build off the back of it, it's a kilogram. We went into the depots to speak to the drivers about how they do stuff. Turns out they said we work in tons. All our weigh bridges are in tons. I don't know what one of those kilograms is. Not interested. They wouldn't use it. And if we'd built the app in kilos, they would never have used it. They would have just found a way around. And it turned out that when we did, there was someone in an office somewhere that was taking all the drivers' notes and converting them into kilograms for head office. So just a small thing like that, you can see they could invest an awful lot of money in the build for no one to use it. And then once, even enterprise tools, once you lose that trust in people, head office is sending this thing, they want us to work in kilos now, I'm not, not touching that. It's really hard to build that trust back again.
Yeah. We should talk about that getting buy-in piece in another one of these, because I think that's a really interesting bit actually around how you involve right from the start to make sure people are going to use it.
Yeah.
Because it isn't, like I say, it's not a build it, they will come. That kind of head office of doing this at its death is about the best way to give yourself a hard uphill struggle, right? I have to say our strategy team, Sarah, and the team absolutely love you when you come back and you're like, good news, debt collection in Darlington, or the classic time that you came back and you're like, well, it's all about in context research. Otherwise, to see it in action is everything. So there's a trip out to the North Sea on a tanker.
Yes. The inspectors for vessels in the North Sea is a project that products might have to go into.
Yeah. And in the meantime, I send them to beauticians.
That client was a little bit easier on product. Yeah. But the understanding, we joke about it because it sometimes isn't the most glamorous of jobs, but they always come back with a whole bunch of stuff that we would never have known. There are many stories that are probably too close to existing clients that I won't mention, but that we found things out about the way we even find things out that help the business on a wider scale about the way that they're working. We see things first because we're speaking to everyone. So it's a real benefit. Yeah.
So next section, misconceptions. And tell me about the misconceptions that people typically have around app development.
I mean, the biggest one when people speak about apps is it's the flashy thing at the front. It's the thing they see on their device, right? That's where all the effort sits, and that that's where the money goes. When actually, it isn't. I mean, that is a hard part, just to be clear, because we've got a lot of app developers that work for us, so it's a very difficult part. But I mean, I think a lot of the heavy lifting comes in that understanding of the business there. But also all of the business logic that we have to build into those products and the understanding and all of that stuff. That's a big misconception, is that it's just the app. When in it, normally there's a big web system in the back end and a whole bunch of stuff running on servers that make this work. People's misconception about what an app is, it kind of varies massively.
Yeah, because ultimately all of this, you only want one copy of your data, right? You only want it in one place, and everything has to flow and everything has to be interconnected. And I think some of the platforms that we've built have dozens of integrations to different platforms.
All of them.
And of course, a lot of our corporate clients also have grown through M&A activity, right?
Yeah.
And integrations take time, and old software still exists
everywhere,
but the same experience has to be produced for everyone. And all of that stuff underneath the hood that's the stuff that makes it work, right?
Yeah, it is. I think every company we go into will tell me at some point, everything's a mess. All of our systems are a mess. Everybody's the same. This is going to be a real challenge to try and integrate what we have with what you're building. So that's probably that's kind of what I'm talking about there with that misconception, is that as soon as we kick off a project, our web guys, our project managers are scurrying around finding all of those bits and figuring out how we're going to make it work.
Yeah. And I guess understanding hand in hand with that how everything ties together and how all of those pieces interplay. Presumably also a good fun part of the journey, right?
Yeah, it is. I love the outcome of it, because the outcome often is a better solution for more than just what we're building. So if we're bringing all the data that people have together in some form and building the APIs that connect it all up and providing a solution, well, getting the data in the right order there can be used for a whole host of other things as well. So you often see our kind of work spawn new things. So that's always quite cool.
And obviously, then you get to use the catchphrase that you're very keen on catchphrases. The good thing about your biggest problem is once you've solved your biggest problem, you have a new biggest problem.
Yeah.
So as you go through and you bring it all together and you've solved that and it spawns something else and it moves on like that. Presumably that's a big part of how all of these types of projects work, is it?
Understanding clients always yields more results, and kind of figuring out fixing the biggest problem allows us. I mean, we look for long, as we all of the process, everything we do is set up to build long-term relationships with our clients. We want which is quite self-serving. Of course, we want people to work with us for a long time, but also because everyone gets more out of it, right? And staff enjoy that more than if you're just building something, throwing it over a fence and running away. You don't get enjoyment. And we see things grow, and that's always that's a big part of what I enjoy about what we do. But once we solve the first thing, our understanding is quite good of the company, that often there's more and things grow and change, and now you fix that, let's go and look at this, and now we've got all the data in the right shape. We could do this and this. And so it's a fantastic byproduct for both, I think, for us, because we get more and more work, but the clients fix more and more problems.
I think that's one of the best bits about working in an agency, isn't it? Is that you get to get inside so many different businesses and understand so much more than potentially you would otherwise. Is one of our core values, right? Is understanding, and that is the heart of how you go about building out the right product ultimately. So, all right, misconceptions. Anything else at all that you want to cover off from that point of view?
Yeah, I guess one of the issues that we find is that, or one of the misconceptions, not an issue, because people come to us and think that whatever they build has to be massive, has to fix everything. And it's never that. The endpoint is a discovery report that has everything justified, what you should build, and we go kind of granular in the output in terms of feature set and how long it would take to build those features. And as you know, we break everything to sprints, 10-day chunks of work. And that roadmap that's created there might be 20, 30 sprints of work. But actually, the first 8 is a releasable product that is going to make a difference to the business. And that, release early, release often kind of mantra. And if you can get business value from the first 8 sprints, get it out there, get it being used. So the misconception, back to that point, is that you have to do it all, and you absolutely don't.
And the longer you spend without making contact with your target users, the higher the risk, right? I mean, we all know that probably the one that we're both thinking of as I say the words. But we've had people that have worked on products for 3 years. And it just needs one more thing, not in the Apple Sense excitement at the end of the
one more thing,
but in a different route. And 7 figures have been spent before it's ended up in anyone's hand, and it's just a really expensive way to prove and validate a concept.
Absolutely. I mean, we given the chance, and we often do, we'll take designs out to potential users and test with the designs even early on to make sure that they want to use it and that it's using well. And the same for dev, is that once there's a release candidate, once you've identified that thing, get it out there, get it being used, gather feedback. Everything we do in discovery builds hypothesis, right? We think this is going to work based on all the research that we could possibly do. But the proof is when you get it in people's hands, and then we build loads of analytics into everything we do, and you can start seeing it being used. You can see if there are drop-off points, and then you can amend it and make it better. But there is a big blocker. I think it's human nature. I want to hold on to it for a bit longer and add a few more things. But yeah, it's rarely proves to be worthwhile.
When MVP exploded, in more viable product, and then all of a sudden everybody was looking at how they could build what people took to be the smallest possible thing to deploy and send out there, and people kind of got on board with it. And then all of a sudden, unsurprisingly, if you build the smallest, worst thing that you can get out there, you don't necessarily get a good reflection of what it's actually going to look like.
Right?
And so then all of a sudden this concept of MVP started to fall backwards, and we've, more catchphrases.
Yeah.
We always talked about MDP, minimal desirable product, because it's got to be, to validate the idea, it's got to be something people actually want to use, right? It's got to be something that's delivering value, going back to that, build the right product, value to the business, value to the user.
Yeah.
If it doesn't do either one of those, then it's not going to work out in the end. And I think that somewhere in the mess caused by like that kind of what is MVP period, people have ended up then just trying to either do too much or do too little, and there's a real artistry in getting it right.
Absolutely. But there's normally one kernel of a thing, that the leading idea that they want to deliver, that the product does better than any others. Well, that's the reason you're building it, right? Especially if it's consumer, or if it's enterprise, it's business, it's one outcome that they want to achieve. And everything else is just makes it a bit better. But the coaching clients through that is always part of my job, always quite a challenge, really. Again, you see the consumer big products that have been worked on for years that have 1,000+ developers working on it, and you think that that's the standard. And I know what we kind of said about the idea that if it's not at that standard, but it's not that amount of features. It's about delivering the results in a seamless way, and you can do that without building loads of features.
And I guess, coming back to what we talked about right back at the start, and you were talking about getting stakeholders in a room, agreeing while you're there,
agreeing what good looks like, if you want another catchphrase.
Nice. Agreeing what good looks like, and then a part of the next step of all of this stuff is to, when it comes to validating that you're actually generating a return and everything else, so you can understand where you want to work, because a lot of our principles are based around kind of lean development and everything else. A big part is understanding what the KPIs are going to be, right? The things that we're trying to achieve through it, so that then you can double down on that rather than wildly feature stuff, because all of a sudden somebody from a different department has realised that it might be a great way to report on something entirely.
They're always there. They always appear somewhere. We maintain a lovely backlog, so everybody's ideas gets registered, gets logged, and they're there for the backlog. They're ready, so no ideas lost. But yeah, that's that stakeholder management piece. There's a lot of what we have to do. Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's good. Obviously,
yes. One
of Producer Greg's fantastic ideas is the fun round.
His definition of fun might not be mine.
So here we go. We've got a couple of random questions, pretty unrelated to what we've talked about so far in many ways. Your ideal client, who would you love to work with if it could be anyone?
Well, there's a list that I have of people I'd love to work with, or companies I'd love to work with. They've probably all received an email from me over the years. Anyone in golf, because I love that. But McLaren, I've emailed them a bunch of times. So yeah, I'd love to do a project with McLaren, because they're not based too far from here either. But it's their ethos. I love it.
What part of it?
Well, I remember years ago watching a documentary on Ron Dennis, who was the CEO there, or whatever his title was, and his attention to detail was unbelievable. And I love when we get to work at that level of detail, when people care about that and they'll invest in that level of detail.
Yeah.
So there's some great stories, like the workshop at McLaren is the size it is because it matches the size of floor tiles exactly, so they didn't have to cut and have any half tiles and that was led by him. And there was a whole thing on tiles. The grout lines he insisted were 4 millimeters specifically everywhere.
Stuff you read in your spare time.
And I think Zach Brown, Zach Brown, who runs the place now, I think he's got a similar ethos. So working with a company that had that level of detail and cared that much, I think would be a lot of fun. Our project managers might not love me for that, but I'd love it.
Cool, thank you very much. And then the probably the last one, dream guest for this podcast, other than presumably flipping this round and interviewing me.
Right. Yeah, more time with you is what I'm after. Dream guest, someone from sport, probably. I quite like my sport. So I'm always interested. I always read biographies, and I quite like the coaches ones because I'm interested in that. So and I've banged on to you about that many, many times.
It's going to be more marginal gains.
It's marginal gains.
More marginal gains.
So good. People like Dave Brailsford from British Cycling and Clive Woodward, the old England rugby manager.
Me from my park runs.
You were exactly
9 seconds off my personal best this weekend.
Okay, excellent. No one asked.
All right.
But then because of the attention to detail again, but I love that kind of when you fixed all the big problems is really focusing on the little ones and the marginal gain stuff. That'd be a cool thing to talk about.
Well, thank you. We talked about loads of different things, and I think we talked about the importance of getting all stakeholders aligned, including obviously inside the business, but also users.
Yep.
Searching for value, making sure that you're always thinking about what's going to create the value. We talked about some of the challenges very briefly, didn't we, around how you have to have great experience.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you think you're building it for your own team, that doesn't quite work like that. We talked about context of usage as well around there. We talked about misconceptions and the importance of integrated experiences and data all in one place. And we also talked about your YouTube habits and looking at people tiling floors.
Yes, I think you've covered all of that.
We covered a fair bit. So thank you very much. Really appreciate that. It was really good. I think next up we're going to talk a little bit more about making the most of agency relationships.
Yeah,
so a little bit more about which is your good self again.
Me again. Yeah, I think it might be more interesting when the rest of the team join the podcast. But yeah, you've got me again.
Well, I won't comment on that. That was great. Thank you very much. Thoroughly appreciate your time.